Okay, let's officially create the profiles page. How do we want this to function? We want somebody who doesn't own the profile to also be able to see it. Okay, for example, you can see other users' profile. Therefore, we have to maybe pass some way to identify the user in the URL. So we're going to be using the slug field for the user, which is saved as the username in our users table. So let's just go ahead and set up a route in our web.php. It'll be the profile, and we can create a profiles controller at index, and we want this profile route to actually accept a parameter. Okay, so I'm gonna call this parameter user because I want to use Laravel's route model binding, and I need to create this controller. So I'll create it, php artisan make controller profiles controller. In our profiles controller, we need an index method, and we are requesting that Laravel automatically injects the user. So we'd say use bestcourses user here, and if Laravel has to automatically inject the user, it's going to try to inject the user by the ID of the user, but then we want Laravel to use the username field on this class. So we're going to tell Laravel get route key name and would return user name. Okay, so Laravel is going to try to find the user using the username column in the database. Okay, so for now, let's just return a view, and would also pass in with user, which is the user that we got from the route model binding. Okay, so we know my username. Let's just copy that and try to visit this route. We have a 404. Let me check out our database with Tinker, and we'll just get all the users. Bestcourses user all, and the username is Cathy. Okay, great. So we should actually pull that out, refresh. There we go. We have the users page right there. So what do we want to do? We want to echo out the number of completed lessons and the series being watched. Okay, so I head over to that profile view, and right here the number of lessons is going to be user get total number of lessons completed, which is the method that we actually created in the last video. Okay, so it's actually get total number of completed lessons. So I'm going to replace that, and that's what we have. Then for the series being watched, let's just make sure we're having this one. So we have 3 right now, because the series that we have in our database right now, we actually completed all of them in our watch page. Okay, so 3 lessons completed, and series being watched. What we can do is pass those series from our controller. So I'm gonna get series right here. So with series, and it would be user get series. Okay, and this method is also coming from right here because we tested and we know it's working. Okay, so therefore in our profile.blade.php, where we have series being watched, we can just go to our welcome.blade.php, and we copy this exact same for else loop, and in our profile we just paste that in for now. Save, refresh. Trying to get property of known object. Okay, let's go through what we copied to see what we have. We have for each series which we passed in, we have a series title, description, a read more. So where could the error be coming from? So why don't we dive down in our controller to see what we actually have? So user series being watched, I'll just dive down and refresh. So we have an array, and one of the array elements is actually null. That's why we're having some errors. So this is not much of a big deal. I think it's because we have a really messy database, so values here and there, and we actually don't have the appropriate Redis connection because we've been testing with it and we're using it now in a view, so that's why it's having some confusions. But then for us to protect ourselves, we can head over to our learning.php, and right here when we are mapping through it, we can filter it to make sure that all null values are rejected, and we do that by simply calling the filter method. So the collection is going to remove all null and false values. So let's refresh now to check our diagram, and now we have just one element in our array, which is the one that was successfully found in the database. Okay, so that should fix that. I'll head over to my controller, remove the diagram that we have, refresh. Okay, we're back. So we have a list of series being watched by the user, and then we have a list of lessons that the user has completed. Now, something I'd like us to talk about is how we want things to happen if the user is authenticated or not. And if you actually log out right now, I believe we're going to have a lot of errors everywhere because we've not been thinking about that. But we'll take care of that in the very next video.